You can't give what you don't have. When you are talking about integrity, you are really talking about the real person, who that person is.
When you talk of integrity, you talk of honesty. To be honest. And to be honest means to be trustworthy, to be truthful. And politics is science and art of government.
Politics is about the people.
Yes.
And if you talk about it in a deeper sense, it has to do with how people take decisions on how to lead themselves.
Viewers, we welcome you once again to another episode of Christians in Politics, coming to you in our daily station, ACNN, Anglican Cable Network, Nigeria. We are pleased to have you again, and today we'll be discussing a very important topic. In fact, for me, it's the most pressing topic now, most pressing issue at this time, and that is preparation for 2019 general election. As you all know, the general election is coming, and by ACNN timetable, the presidential and the National Assembly election is coming up on the 16th of February 2019, while the governorship and State House of Assembly election is coming up on the 2nd of March, just about 3 weeks apart. And it is a high time we start talking about how well prepared are we. Is INEC prepared to deliver a free and fair, a credible election? Are the populace prepared to perform their civic obligation? These are some of the issues we'll be taking on. We don't want to dabble into the argument of whether the order in which election should be done should be adjusted or not. We leave that one for the National Assembly and the umpire, the INEC, to resolve. But today, we'll concentrate on preparation for the 2019 general election. And with me in the studio is a young man, a youth by all standard, an epidemiologist by profession, and a social commentator. He works with youths, and is in the person of Mr. Chukwu Ebuka Ejikam. You are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Welcome, viewers.
We also have in the studio with us Sir Victor Undu. He's an elder, and is Deputy Director, DCPA, Directorate for Civic and Political Affairs on the Diocese of the Niger, Diocese on the Niger, and is one of our election observers in the Church of Nigeria. And in fact, he participated actively, very actively, in the just concluded Anambra governorship election. So we are going to be looking at the youths in particular, since we have a youth with us in the studio, to know how prepared we are for the coming election. Now, before we go on, Ebuka, you are an epidemiologist and social commentator, and you work with the youth. Can you elaborate on that a little? What have you been doing with the youths?
Basically, I'm a young person myself, and issues that
I can see from your face,
and issues that affect young people in our country are very much uppermost in my heart. So I've worked over the years in providing mentorship to young people in the area of leadership, guiding them, and then we've been involved in community social mobilization and advocacy. It's hard time we stood up for our rights, but we need to be conscientized on what those rights are. So we've done a lot of community mobilization. We've done it in partnership with some community-based organizations, and there have been instances where we use platforms, various platforms, both secular and then even church platforms, to be able to advocate for youth to take up their stream in the society. So in a nutshell, just to summarize, those are the things I've done with youth. And ongoing on a regular basis, I keep interacting with young people, especially with the oncoming 2019 election. I think we need to make some demands and then see that the direction that we are going in politics and in governance generally portends something good for young people in our country.
From the way you are speaking, it's like you are among those who are saying that you should no longer be leaders of tomorrow, they should be leading now.
Exactly, exactly. I mean,
that's what you are saying.
We've grown up hearing that word. I mean, it's a byword. And I don't want to become critical, but I think it's high time our fathers make space for us to come up. We need to emerge. We don't need to
continue. Are you saying that the youths have not been given enough space in the political domain?
Relatively, I would say in a country like Nigeria, we've not had that space. I can buttress that.
Go ahead.
Because we live in a country where we pay lip services to these things. Youth, we've given you a lot of space. But in practical terms, you don't see that. How many youths are empowered resource-wise to be able to contest elections? We are still battling with the not too young to run bill. Not every state house of assembly has ascended to that. And this was something that a youth-led organization presented before the National Assembly. It's passed at that level, but it just recently that Taraba State passed it. And several other states have not done that. And we are talking of an election
You mean Empower, Shiopi, and all the likes, different programs that government have been bringing out have not been able to empower the youth?
Is not been able to fully give us the kind of empowerment we are looking for. We've seen instances where, to an extent, those things become politicized. And we are talking of a population. Nigeria presumably is a country of about 180 million people, and we're talking of a population that has almost 60% of that population are youths. So how many people go down? I'm not castigating anybody, but you go to the hinterland where you see the real faces of poverty. Those ones are not empowered.
I will come back to you because I share some of your opinion that some of the people in our political arena are becoming too old. Because some of them were already there. We
were in primary school. We read about them. We saw them.
Into my mind. I wanted to say that they taught us some of these people about some of these people in history.
In history
and current affairs when we were in primary school, and they are still very much in Abuja. And I think by now some of them should go to the village and be advisors.
Yeah, take up the place of statesmen and advise the young ones. Talk of countries like Canada now. The young man there, the prime minister, is a young man. The Macron is a young man. He's a young man. Even in Luxembourg, the prime minister is a young man, 41-year-old. In our own context, you look at him as being young. And then in Belgium,
you think that can happen in our time?
We are making demand for 2019. I've told you it is high time we stop agonizing. Let us begin to organize. We're organizing ourselves.
In other words, the elders should be putting their house in order.
In order. We are not chasing them out. With all due respect to the others, we are not chasing them time, but it's high time we take our place. Okay. Josiah was a young man. He became king.
Let me talk to this elderly man. Are you scared?
Scared no.
As a politician, hearing this young man?
I've always encouraged the youths. Like you say, when I was a youth, we were told that the youths are leaders of tomorrow. And in this country, I've not seen the youths take over. I want them to take over. I want the youths to come up. My problem is, are they ready? That's my problem.
We are getting seriously ready. We are seriously getting ready.
When I was younger, we were ready. We were not given the opportunity.
And now you are an elderly man.
Now
perhaps your generation had all the opportunity.
No.
Perhaps.
No.
Because in your time it was possible for
this, even though he is qualified by all right to be called an elder, and he's still in between.
Yes, somehow. I wanted to say he's still very much a youth at heart.
Yes. So he's still in between. So and I think that a person like him can still.
I was one of the person who moved and advocated in Anglican Youth Fellowship that whoever is above 40 years should not be called a youth. Let's hand over to those who are below 40 years to pilot the affairs of Anglican Youth Fellowship. And by the grace of God, today, it has materialized.
even technically speaking, by various charter, African Youth Charter, National Youth Policy of Nigeria, 40 is not a youth. By various standards.
You know, Nigeria signs to charter, but they don't
implement it. You see political parties in our climb, in our country, that have youth leaders that are above 40. I mean, is a misnomer. It's not something we should be talking about. So for 2019, we are at that bend where we either get it right as a nation or we miss it again. So 2019 is very critical for us, and young people are beginning to make demand. We are pushing. We have just recently got the Not Too Young to Run bill now assented at the national level. I mean, the age limit...
Has it been assented to?
The National Assembly has cleared it.
No, National Assembly, we made the law, we passed the bill, but...
the president is yet to assent.
And the president, you know, is an elderly man. Are you sure he's going to sign that very bill, considering his age? Because if he signs it, it's like giving himself quit notice.
It's not necessarily quit notice. It's a competitive thing. Politics is all about competition. We're saying that the age should come down for you to contest for presidency from 40, where it is now, based on the 1999 Constitution, to 35 at least. So the president can still run, but at 75, if you're competing with a younger man who is vibrant, who is still lively, we can move around. I mean, even statutorily, 70 or 65 is the age of retirement. So
now that you are talking about who will run for 2019, do you subscribe to the fact that Buhari, our dear president, should not run? Because Obasanjo called for that, and so many other people have been talking. Do you subscribe to that?
My opinion may be personal, but for crying out loud, for me, I think that democracy allows for long latitude. I mean, everybody can contest if you feel you've got the way without to contest. It depends on the voters to now choose. I mean, minority will always have their say. Majority will have their way. So anybody who wants to contest can come and contest. But for me, it's young people. Young people should come out, should be encouraged. And we are mobilizing seriously to see young people emerge in leader. How do we...
In other words, what you are saying, Mr. President have the right to contest.
Constitutionally he has. Constitutionally he has. But the Nigerian people will decide.
We decide who become
the next president.
Yeah. Okay, I think we are on the same page. Back to Savito Undu. What have you been doing practically in the Anambra axis in trying to prepare people for 2019?
We have been mobilizing. We started with voters. Get your vote as a right. If you don't have your voter's card, you are not fully a citizen of your country.
Do you have your...
I do.
Where is it?
I think...
because oh, wonderful. Let me see the face. Okay, that is your voter's card.
That's my voter's card.
And that is how to...
And to tell you how you are prepared, I also have mine. To tell you we are prepared. Just recently registered.
This one is different from you, sir.
This is the temporary, that before the election, INEC will now give us the permanent one. But the registration is duly certified, authenticated by INEC.
Why is it that up to now you have not gotten the permanent voter's card? Because I'm not sure they will accept.
Before the election, this is logistics from INEC. I mean, it's going to be issued from INEC. They issued this one temporary prior to the election.
No, see my own. You can say all the elders have the permanent voter's card.
But we are mobilizing young people now to go up and register. The continuous voters registration is going on, at least in FCT and in many state capitals.
Now, yeah.
What
I'm saying is this. You can see the elders. He has his own permanent voter's card. I have my own permanent voter's card. But you are the youth among us. You have ordinary temporary voter's card. Why? And you people want to take over. How prepared are you people?
That preparation, it's in us registering now. I don't know whether you've taken a drive around town to go at the registration centers for the continue. You see a lot of young people that are coming out. I recently did mine.
In fact,
my first registration was somewhere in Lagos, and because I'm in Abuja, I couldn't. This time around, I had to make sure that everything is validated so that I'm prepared.
What did you do? Is it you have raised another question, which is which is part of the preparation? You registered in Lagos before, and now is it first registration you did here? Because if you do first registration, it's against the law. I think yours should be transferred.
No, the one I had initially was invalidated. Okay. Invalidated. So I had to do
what invalidated it, because many people, these are some of the issues. We say we are preparing for election, but at the nick of time, at the 11th hour, you suddenly discover that you are not qualified. What invalidated your first registration?
I will not but I know I could not be able to use it to vote. There were a lot of technical things that the INEC people said at that time, and because I wasn't in Lagos to follow up, I couldn't follow it through. Okay. I now moved over to Abuja. So for this one now, because of the level of deep involvement that we are having for young people to be able to participate actively for this, we had to lead by example by encouraging young people to make sure that they vote. And I went and did mine in Karo, where I'm living. And I can't wait for February 16th next year, and then the subsequent elections that are coming.
Now, you are sure most of your friends have voters card?
That's what we are doing. I just asked you, sir, whether you've taken a drive near where they're doing the... You see a lot of young people coming out.
Okay, now you have raised another issue. People have been calling me as the Director for Civic and Political Affairs, Church of Nigeria, to say, where, especially in FCT, where do we go to get our registration done? And I was driving around the whole town looking for the centers. In fact, I also wanted a very close person to me who did transfer from Kogi State to Abuja to collect his permanent voters card. For over 3-4 months, we've been looking for the centers. To find it was difficult until just about 2 weeks ago, just by stroke of chance, we saw people gathered in Wuse government secondary school, and we got there and discovered that they were registering. Fresh registration was going on there, and when we presented the temporary card to assess the permanent one, we were surprised that they directed us to a room where INEC people were waiting for people to come and collect their permanent voters card. To our amazement, there were several bags, tied, labeled. All of them are filled with PVC, fully prepared, the permanent voters card, and no one is coming up to
I think that should be those that registered for the 2015 election that perhaps could not collect it. You know, now what is happening after 2015. There is now continuous voters registration. Yes. So that's the one that, like, for someone like myself, yes, we now, when they issue the real or the permanent one, you take. But for those ones who registered before 20, I encourage them also personally to go back and check. Instead of doing a fresh registration, to go
not go back and to go back and collect. I'm telling you now that I saw the bags, several bags, for each local government, wards, all of them tied and labeled. INEC officials are sitting down there just waiting for who will come. When we got there, the person that followed me there, it didn't take 2 minutes. He just presented this. They just went straight to the bar within 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes. They have.
As a voice for young people, I want to encourage every young person in our country that registered, go to your registration point or the nearest INEC office and make sure you collect your voters card, because all of us must exercise our franchise.
Okay, now let's hold it there. I will come back to you. Savito, you observed the last election in Anambra.
Yes, I did.
You were there with me, and I was there with you.
Yes.
Yes, we moved together. So now, I saw so many things there that really baffled me, because this man is advocating that the youths should take over. And we are talking
qualified, competent youth, not just youths.
Okay. Now, you know what we observed. Number one, many youths were playing football on that very day, and voter apathy was something else. I'm not sure that if 10 persons registered, more than 4 persons came out. If we use that ratio. So, what do you think should be done about that?
Education, and education, especially on the part of the youths.
And that's what we're doing now.
The youths are not prepared. By my own, what I can see, the youths are not prepared. They prefer carrying bag for politicians, sharing money for politicians, collecting peanuts from politicians. That is what I see them doing. They are not prepared. How can there be an election and you come out and you see youths playing football? I observe some of the youths that were sharing money for politicians did not register, did not vote. They were not. Did not register. They did not vote.
Now, you are talking about football, but something amazed me because, well, you are our director in Anambra, on the Niger Diocese specifically, but I am at the national level, director at the national level, and we have a kind of an ego view over the whole country. When it comes to the matter of observation of election. I noticed that in the north, the youth don't play football, but in the east, on election day, most of them will be playing football. What is responsible for that? Is it that they don't know that election is important?
They know. You see, for a very long time, government have not been responsible to the citizens.
Is that why they are playing football?
They felt whether we vote, we don't vote. Yeah. The same person will go in. We don't have money to buy votes. We are not empowered. We don't. So most of them, instead of taking the bull by the horn,
Does this point suffice as a good excuse for the youth to be playing football? I am saying the Mesuya, the shoe cobbler in the north, they are not playing football on election day. Are you sure?
It's a bad omen. You can see me rebuking them. Anyway, I see that. Why are you here? What are you doing here? I even ask police, why do you allow people to, when others are queuing on the line to vote, they are playing football? Disperse them. So that some of them who have voters cards should go and vote.
You know, we can actually track the history, like my brother here said. For a long time, there's this general sense of government is for them, is not for us. And most people...
Why is it that...
But it's not enough excuse.
Wait, why is it that the northern youths have interest in voting and the southern, the eastern, and the western youth, they will be playing football?
It's a cultural orientation thing. The north...
And what are you people doing to correct that imbalance?
My brother just said education, education, education. And that's what we are deepening. It was one sage, Aristotle, that said that those who have meditated on the art of ruling empires have come to appreciate that the fate of nations depends on the education of the youth. So that's what we are doing, telling people that government is not about them. It's not they against us. We are all government, and you have got to demand and make a change for things to turn around. So education is key, is very critical. If you take an evaluation of those who are carrying bags for politicians, like my brother said, I bet you me, a greater proportion of those youth are not people who are soundly educated, who can rationally think. They are people who depend on peanuts for them to eat their...
Again, you have raised another... hold on. You have raised another question. The North have always complained that they are educationally disadvantaged in this country. But why is it that when it comes to politics, they seem to be more enlightened?
That's what I'm saying. Your political organization is enshrined even within their culture.
Are you indicting the elders in the east and in the north that they have not been able
to carry the youth? Some people can look at maybe and say the Igbo man is Republican, or we down south.
What do you mean by that?
We tend to believe that if you're a chief in your own house. I can make my own decision. So we see this culture. But you and I are in Nigeria. It's possible for a young man up north to toe the line of his elder, maybe by reason of their religious orientation
and cultural orientation.
They easily fall in line. They can easily get themselves politically organized more than the average southern youth. But education comes in now. Like I love the fact that he said education 3 times to emphasize it.
Were you trying to say that independence is part and parcel of an Igbo man, including the youth?
To a reasonable extent.
Was that the reason why they were agitating that for secession?
No. I don't subscribe.
Why are the youths there agitating?
I mean, everybody not everybody, some youth felt that there's a deep sense of injustice against them. And so they felt the best way for them to be heard is to agitate.
Okay, Ebuka, hold on again. Let me take you back to Anambra. We are using, let's use Anambra as a case study. I observed that the money that was being shared on election day, it was the youth that were sharing the money. They were the one doing everything. So how are we going to solve that problem in 2019?
If INEC and EFCC can come out with a synergy how to track those who share money and punish them, I don't think there's anybody who will show money, free money, that will not collect.
Use with integrity. The kind of youth who want to take over from these elders should be able to shun money.
They should, yes, they should. There are some who will not collect the money, who will go and vote and go home. But their percentage is minimum. It's very minimum. Very minimal.
But it's been challenged.
But like before the election of last year, I challenged youths during my education, using my our Director for Civic and Political Affairs on the Niger. One of the youths came out trying to mobilize others. I don't want to mention his name. He prepared, saying that started preparing to take the governor of Anambra State. I encouraged him. I was asking other people to support him. But like we are saying, there was any encouragement. There wasn't any encouragement. Incidentally, he's also a good boy.
Where are you?
Encouragement. You see, politics is expensive. Encouragement from individuals in Nigeria, all over the world.
Okay.
It's all over the world.
The margin is quite high.
The only thing is in Nigeria is the margin is high, not even much higher. The only thing is that Nigerian own is cash. You give, but other client they use it for publicity and campaign. But here it's shared among politicians and voters. Some people don't even campaign much. They will keep money in their house. Well, and I was encouraging a candidate. Why I have not seen you in this place? I have not seen you in that place. I have not seen you in that place. He said, "Oh, God, leave that thing. I'm keeping my money on that day." What they do is they buy vote. I said, "No, you are wrong." And he failed.
Sadly, one of the candidates in the just concluded Anambra governorship election, trying to express his disappointment on what happened on that day, said he has learned his lesson. That next election, he's not going to waste time campaigning. He's not going to waste time going for rallies, this or that, or spending money. And you better keep the money till election day.
I will not support him. I will not support him because I believe that change is permanent. One day this scenario will change. Like I'm encouraging and I'm calling on EFCC, I'm calling on INEC to put up a machinery on how to stop vote buying.
Okay, now what are you people doing in your education? What are you doing in this regard to stop the youth from accepting money?
It's been a major challenge in our political process, the influence of money in our electioneering campaigns. So what we are doing to de-emphasize that is to tell young people that you are more or less selling your vote for a piece of maybe paltry sum of money. For the next 4 years, you've mortgaged your future.
We will hold it at this point and have a short break. And when we come back, maybe we take off from there. Maybe it will be a good point to take off when we come back. So we've been talking with Chukwu Ebuka Ejikam, who is an epidemiologist and a social commentator who works with the youths, and our dear brother Savito Undu, who is the DCPA, Directorate for Civic and Political Affairs Director in the Diocese on the Niger. Hold it at that point. We'll come back in the jiffy.
For me, living to please God is simply living according to the word of God.
Pleasing God entails you staying with your wife in understanding according to the scripture, not in beating her.
Viewers, we thank you for being there. We are still discussing the topic preparation for 2019. And with me still in the studio is Mr. Chukwu Ebuka Ejikam, an epidemiologist and a social commentator. And my brother, Sir Victor Undu, the Deputy Director for Civic and Political Affairs, Diocese on the Niger. Now, my brother, let me start with you because I put you on hold before the break. And I was trying to look at the issue of money that is always exchanging hand on the day of election and the youth involvement in that. What do you think is responsible?
Thank you, sir. I think there's a whole lot of factors that fuel this noticeable influence of money in our electioneering campaign in our country. But let me say one that is very topical, that all of us can easily relate to. The money that you saw in Anambra that was being shared by youths, the question to be asked is who owns the money, who gave them the money?
Who owns the money?
It would have come with some money-bagged politicians, maybe our elderly ones that are already neck deep into politics. I mean, they control the means of resources within a society to a reasonable extent. The Nigerian youth is critically disadvantaged. Is more of an endangered species economically.
That's why he's collecting 1,000 naira to
an extent
to mortgage his
future. To an extent, the elderly ones will not invest those ones into the critical aspects of our economy to empower the young people so that they have job of their own to do. So tomorrow they will revert back to them. And for somebody who is disadvantaged economically, pushed to the wall, 500 naira can mean a whole lot. That's one of the reasons.
Just hold on.
I disagree with you.
You said, hold on, Sir Victor, I will come to you. You said they are disadvantaged economically.
Economically, to a reasonable extent. Initially we've talked about programs that governments are doing to ensure social inclusiveness, to make sure that young people are empowered. But does it really go around? How many people are empowered? I can stay in this studio, maybe by reason of my rationality, exposure I've had over time, to decide for myself. But I'm talking of millions of people out there in the villages who can hardly decipher their right from their wrong because they have the wrong orientation, because they don't have the means economically. And so you come and throw small money at them and they begin to mess up. That's why we are investing critically in education.
You mean the youth of today cannot reason enough to know that 1,000 naira cannot empower them? Why should they collect 1,000?
There are people who based on their wrong orientation and attitude, live for the now, immediate gratification. And we are telling young people to forsake immediate gratification.
Now, Saundu, do you agree with him?
No. It is wrong attitude because it's not only the youth that collect money, the elderly and the youth.
Even the old women were
collecting. Old women, they were collecting money. So it's wrong attitude, wrong value. We need to reorientate the people, and then both in value, they need to change the value we have around, especially in the south. Especially in the south, we place wrong values on important things. What will 5,000 naira do for you? Mortgage your future.
You are talking of 5,000 and 1,000.
Okay, naira. I'm talking. Okay, 1,000 naira. You collect it for 4 years. So it's not only the youth. They don't understand what they are doing. That is why I'm encouraging every organization to please educate your youths, educate your people, not even only the youths, because the elderly collect. I saw the elderly, I saw the youth. So it's not even only the youth. The problem is that the youths who should have since the elderly people have refused to correct themselves, the youths who has gone to the four walls of the universities, who are exposed, who watched and seen election in other climes, how they are done, will come here and then follow the old women and old men in the village who do not see these things they have seen, and then follow them to share money, collect 1 naira, collect 1,000, collect 5,000, mortgage your future. Now, some states after election, it used to be difficult for them to pay for salaries.
Why?
Because the money, did it come from heaven? It's from treasury. The money comes from the state treasury or national treasury. These are the people who go and waste it.
I wanted to ask you if the money did it come from heaven, did it come from here?
It comes from treasury.
Okay.
Okay, look, let me tell you. If you give
which treasury? Government
treasury. That is where the money is coming from. Where the one that is shared by all the political parties. If it is shared by the party that is not in power, it is the money the other people have collected before and kept that sharing. If it is from the ruling party, it's from the treasury of the state or the nation. That is where the money comes from. Or top businessmen in government who they give bogus contracts to keep this money for election. Yes, they give them bogus contracts so that they will keeping money for election.
You are raising another
during the election, they will bring out money to share. And these monies that keep are monies that we use to build factories. There was a state I saw. They were sharing money to people, and I was able to calculate the money. I know that with 10 million naira, you can set up a pure water industry factory with 3 rooms, small scale pure water, sachet water industry. With 10 million naira, you will conveniently set it up. Then as the company grows, you can say, but they will give, during the election, they will give 10 million naira to an individual. He will collect and he will just go and eat it like that. But this is money that could have used to empower the youth, to build factories. There are people that will give 50 million. 50 million will give you a small cottage industry.
Now, Ebuka is looking at you. Can you tell Ebuka what you expect from the youth for 2019?
I expect the youth, first and foremost, they should go and register. Those who registered have not collected their PVC should go and collect it and start educating themselves. Let them see it's a challenge. I was telling during preparation for 2017 election in Anambra, I told a group of youths that it's an insult, very big insult, for somebody to give you 5,000 naira to vote for him. I see it whether you are employed, whether you are not employed. It's an insult for you to collect 1 naira, 10,000 naira for you to. It is your right. The right as a citizen, the right that given to you by God to choose your leader. And somebody will give you 10,000 naira to change your rights.
Hold it, Ebuka. Many of these people that are collecting 1,000 naira, 500 naira, up to 5,000 naira, because Anambra was very, very costly. Some parties were sharing 5,000, some were sharing depending on the
list was 4,000.
So, no, I saw when one old woman was giving 1,000 too, and in fact, she finished voting and raised all the something. I said, oh, now they look me, I don't do my own finish. So, and he dropped it, and there was another one where they were sharing
and 1,000. Let me tell you, that person that gave the old woman
and a policeman.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
That person that gave the old woman 1,000 naira collected 5,000 for the woman. He will dodge the other one.
Okay, he has kept
4,000. I gave the woman 1,000.
Oh.
That is like because during their calculation they calculate 5,000 naira per voter. And they will give that's what the
we end
that's
up,
the problem I have with it. It's an insult. People get this.
We end up going through the problems. Like I said earlier, it's a general societal problem. And my brother rightly said it's not just the youths. Our political culture, the foundation is weak and young. It's the money bags that control these things. The money that would have been used to look at the statistics that the National Bureau of Statistics rails out on a quarterly basis. Unemployment, inflation, the Bank of Industry, who are they giving loan? You are giving loan at double-digit interest rate. How will a young a young man that finished school be able to stand? So it's not just limited to the youth. People can go for immediate gratification. But what we are saying, and that's the message we are preaching on this platform now, that people have got to do the right thing, even if it's not convenient for now. But stand up and don't mortgage your future. And speaking for the young people from that perspective, if my brother as an in-between or as an elder talks for elder, he talked about seeing an old man. If he talks to that old man, this thing you are doing is right. And I talk to my own constituency.
It's not right.
It's not right. And I talk to my own constituency, young people, you are not doing it. You are not getting it right. The essence of governance is for service delivery. Developing infrastructures, road, water, electricity. The essence of it is that people who will get there should be able to provide these basic things so that we can all run.
Now, we've been talking about going to get your voter's card. Then if you are not yet registered to vote, go and register so that you will not disenfranchise yourself. That's what we'll be talking about mostly. But now, let us really talk about re-participation. How many youth do you think are members of political parties, really? I'm talking about youth that are carrying membership cards of political party, because that is the starting point.
When measured relative to the elders, I mean, the youths are not there. I may not have the concrete figure.
Yeah, but what are people doing? Because
that's statistics. I was addressing a youth of about 700 to 800 during the preparation to the last election in Anambra. And I asked them, those of you who belong to a political party, to raise up their hand. Only 4 people.
Can you hear that?
I am telling you, I think that was in, do I mention the community? Let me know where the youths gathered for a program. So I went to address them, to encourage them to vote, and then to register, and then go into political parties, so that they can, if they are in political parties, they can encourage their age mates to be councillors, to be nominated by political parties. If they come up,
how do you we talk? Just
listen. If a greater number of them enter political parties in their ward, and then during nomination, if they insist that a youth must be given nomination to carry the flag of the party with their number, I think they will be listening.
I think this is
in their constituency.
A very valid point.
If the youths en masse enter political parties of your choice, because you will be looked at. Let us build ourselves. Let them enter into a political party of their choice. Because it starts with nomination. It's only when you are nominated that you can be a candidate.
Yeah.
And then if they enter political parties during nomination for the House of Assembly, if the party see them as being greater in number, they will choose one of them. And after the nomination, they will campaign for one of them. Any party that brings elderly persons will put themselves on this advantage.
Now, you can see, Ebuka, that it's much more than just having a voter's card.
Yeah.
It's much more than just going out to vote. If the youths are going to have a space, from what he said, they are the one to create the space for themselves.
That's what I'm saying. You know, you are the one. It was this man, Martin Luther King of blessed memory, that said something. He said, we have learned through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given to the oppressed by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed.
It must be fought for. You have to fight for your...
power doesn't come to a man by virtue of right. It's by virtue of fight. You fight for it. I want to commend my brother. There's something he said here. In a hall, 800, and only 4. If we go back to that same hall now, I'm sure by virtue of the challenge he threw to them that day, there will be more than 4% that have registered. And that's the beauty of what education can do. And that's what we are doing now. We have not gotten it right hitherto. We now want to change the narrative. We want to get young people involved. I've registered. I've challenged you, sir. Drive around Abuja. We're in Abuja. Go to the centers where INECs are registering. You see some young people coming out because we are trying to conscientize.
As a youth, yes. The youths we are mobilizing. Where will they realize their... where would they realize the opportunity to be councillor, House of Assembly member, federal House of Assembly member, senator,
there
and
are
president?
youths that not. It is not about. No, there are youths that are.
Change begins with me.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You have to begin with you.
That is the slogan of the present
government. Says begins with me. You have to.
You have to
join
political parties because what are the manifestos? Which one appeals to your heart? What are the manifestos that guarantees you that this is what
are you saying that all
the fifth? It's up to 70 now, 60.
We don't even know the correct number now. All these many parties, none of them have.
Don't generalize based on 1%. I said on 1%.
You are not. You are representing the youth.
I'm saying me as a person.
No.
If you do not have the persuasion, I'm going to vote definitely.
So how?
And there are young people that I know that belong. Who will check their track record and their
vote for party that have no
manifesto?
We look at the credibility.
No, now let me tell you.
We look at the credibility of the candidates that are coming out, and we check their
how do you?
I can mention some names of young people that are coming out now, relatively speaking, but maybe because of the nature of the sensitive nature of the programs we are doing, I may not be able to. But I know there are young people in our country that are already subtly campaigning.
My brother, let me tell you, in all sincerity. I'm
not going for an elective post.
No, wait. I'm not talking about going for elective
post. But there's nothing wrong if you go for one.
That's when I had the persuasion. There's a calling. Leadership is a high calling.
Excuse me, let me come. There is a process of bringing out party candidates. If you don't belong on that process,
you are out.
Somebody as vibrant as you are, who will go and talk for the youth in a political party to make sure that a youth is nominated, don't belong to any political party.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't have the persuasion.
Hold on. When you were starting this, you said as a true Christian. What do you mean?
Yes.
Hold on. What do you mean by that? You say that a true Christian should
for
not
me,
no.
Even Jesus rightly exercise his civic duties. We can see that from the scripture. I don't discourage that.
Okay.
We encourage it. In fact, let me say again, sometimes people say I quote a lot. Plato in 3000 BCE said that the punishment we suffer if we refuse to take interest in matters of government is to live under the rulership of worsemen, under the government of worsemen.
And that's what we're. So that means what you are saying by that reference to Plato's thought is that Christians should participate actively in politics.
In fact, this thing we are doing here as a Christian is part of encouraging participation.
What I'm saying? So hold on, so that I don't lose this. What do you say to those who are always advocating the fact that politics is dirty and so good Christians
politics is not dirty. It's dirty politicians that make politics dirty, especially in our climate. Politics is a platform for quality service delivery. In climes,
I like that definition.
In climes where politics are practiced the way it should be, you will see that services becomes the uppermost in the heart of politicians. It's because people have seen it as a means to an end in our climate. Everybody now wants to be. Whether you are called, whether you've been groomed in leadership, everybody wants to gain context. Remember at a point in this program, I said we are not just looking for youth. We are looking for competent, qualified youth with track record. Youth that can be...
Who are also members of political parties.
Who are members of a political party, and we're seeing some of them emerge in our time. If people are conversant with social development around, we
are not interested in some this time. We are interested in all
youths now. But there are those who have been called to take up elective position. There are also people who have been called to, in the scripture, some people lifted the hand of Moses when Joshua was fighting the Amalekites. There are people who have been called to take that frontal position, and there are people who provide support.
But you cannot lift the hand of a politician when you don't belong to a political party. That is the starting point. That's what he is saying.
I'm encouraging Nigerian youth. I'm encouraging Nigerian youths. Please enter political parties. That is the platform from where you can come and take over. When you are saying the youth is the leaders of tomorrow, you can lead, especially in Nigeria, without belonging to a political party. Enter political party.
Okay, you are even saying there's no need to form a youth party.
No, there's no need.
You can join PDP, you can join APC,
them with your number, you will overwhelm them.
Then go in there before you know it.
I don't know if I will puncture this argument a little because I'm trying to be broad.
I give you 1 minute to puncture what you want to puncture.
I'm trying to be broad.
Yes.
Let's not make politics look as if it's the only means of livelihood.
No, we are talking of stewardship.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I keep saying
let you do the puncturing.
I keep saying youth. For those who want to take up elective position,
yes,
there is always a grooming that happens before a man manifests. If you read your scripture very well, Bible talked about Josiah, that he became king when he was 8. And for the next 8 years, the Bible says he began to seek the Lord. That was a man getting prepared. It was after he sought the Lord at the 20th year of his reign, 12 years after, that's he became king. 12 years after, the Bible says he now began to destroy the high places of Baal. There was a preparation. Those youth who will come in, we need to first of all prepare themselves. John the Baptist was in the wilderness getting prepared until the day of his manifestation unto Israel. So we are saying not just anyhow youth should come out. Not just anyhow youth should come out.
What we are saying, excuse me, Nigerian youths have been preparing. They are preparing wrongly.
Not every
let an elder. Yeah, the Nigerian youths have been preparing. Let us see the result of their preparation. They have been. What is their number? Their number is minimal. I bet you, because I know. I have these statistics. The number of youths in political parties very, very minimal. Let me tell you. Time is running out. Because we need to take on this. What is your advice to youths who always use our talks?
You know, when we discuss political,
they don't even vote.
Yes, when we
they
talk
after how to hijack bylaws votes.
I always make a case that political participation of youth, we should be arguing rather on meaningful participation of youth.
Meaningful
participation of youth, because we've had youths act as talks. My brother talked about youths carrying bags. They are subtly, marginally participating in the electioneering process, but not getting into the mainstream. So my advice, people who are convinced that there's a mandate from God to go and deliver quality service to the people should join political parties and do their bit from inside.
What should be the role of the church?
The church should encourage. The church should encourage. Recently, I'm reading a portrait of Desmond Tutu, the retired Archbishop of Cape Town, South Africa. He's an Anglican Archbishop.
Yes.
I took time to read about him. He got to a point in his life where he got a revelation from the book of Exodus and saw God as a God who never was neutral, who is always on the side of the oppressed. And that was part of the convictions that moved him to begin to speak out against apartheid. The church should begin to speak out, encouraging youth to participate in the election process. We've been saying it from our pulpits, and that's why some of us are also being convinced to go out there and get the card.
By this, you are saying all our dear fathers in the Lord, bishops, should intensify effort in this direction, all the clergy.
And also lead by example. On that day, your congregation is seeing you going to queue up to vote.
No, bishops have been voting.
My diocese,
the AYF have been playing football.
Yeah, let me tell you. Excuse me. From the pulpit, from church group meetings, the youth has been encouraged to go and register as voters, enter political party. It's the youths who have refused to adhere to the instruction and teachings of the church leaders. I can tell you from the point of my diocese. Excuse me. For my diocese,
in an interesting program like this, time is not always in our favor. Now, let me start with Savito. What is your last word? Just last word for the youths.
The youths, go and register, enter political parties so that you can be the leaders of
what is your last word for the
leader of
hold on.
Leaders of 2019. Leaders in 2019.
What is your last word for the masses?
Masses, please go and register and be prepared to take leadership on your own hands.
Ebuka, what is your last word
for
the youths?
I want to encourage young people like me. We should have voters card here. Go out there and register. And make sure that when it's time to vote on the day, go and queue. Don't begin to, like you observed in Ambara, go and play football. Change that. Let's change the narrative. Let's tell our elders that we are prepared.
If they give you gun,
don't take.
Ask him to give his son.
Some of them.
No. We
stop at that point.
Ask him to be a
final word also for the general.
Final word.
Final word for our people. When it is time to go and vote, don't think you are doing that politician a favor. It's a conviction between you and God. You have to account for how you were able to use that right you are given as a citizen.
Thank you very
to bring
much.
About change.
Ebuka,
for your country.
thank you very much for coming. I think you are a great inspiration for our youth. And the youth, did you hear what the ended with. They said, if somebody give you gun in 2019, tell the person, go and give to your son. You invite your son from London or US and give him gun to go and fight for you. I'm not a fighter. I'm not an agbero. Then, if somebody give you money to say, just take this 10 naira, and go and vote for me.
Or carry ballot box for me.
Tell the person, you cannot buy my conscience. I'm a child of God. And for Christians all over, they told us that you are not a good Christian if you are not performing your civic responsibility, because Jesus performed his own civic responsibility. So go register. If you have not gotten the point of registration, look for it. Even though they are hiding the place, look for the place and locate it and go and register. The queues will be very long. Be patient, because it's about your future and about tomorrow. We want a better country, and if the people that are governing us have done well, fine. If they have not done well, this is the time to let them know you have not done well. If they have done well, this is the time to say you have done very well. So go out in 2019 and vote. February is around the corner. On this note, we want to round up, and before I do that, I want to say thank you to Savito Undu. You are an inspiration to the elders too, and to the youths, and I think
he's one of us.
The youths, is youth at heart. And so
thank you very much.
So,
go and register to vote.
Yeah, so that is Savito Udu for you, our director for DCPA, Directorate for Civic and Political Affairs on the Niger Diocese. We thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
We'll be coming back to you, and I think we may need to bring Ebuka back to this very studio, because the youth must wake up at this time.
It's my pleasure.
I'm still Venerable Joe Nwanya, the presenter and also the Director for Civic and Political Affairs, Church of Nigeria. We encourage every one of you to go out and vote when the election time comes. God bless you all.